right, medication formulas. This section starts on page 383 if you want to follow along in your book. They also give some good examples after that, starting on page 384. But we're going to go through a couple together here. So sometimes physicians will give you an order of a strength and an amount of medication that they want to be dispensed. But they may not give you the formula needed to prepare that drug. So sometimes we'll have to calculate that formula on our own. So we're going to use this math a lot in the institutional quarter when we are preparing our compounds for the compounding competition, okay? So let's just take a look at some of these examples. We can use the skills that we've already learned to answer a lot of these problems. So starting with number 11 on the worksheet here, says how much hydrocortisone powder and how much eucerin cream should be combined to prepare the following prescription. So we want to make 45 grams of a 2.5% hydrocortisone cream. Okay, so let's imagine that. Let's think about what we're doing here. We're going to have a hydrocortisone cream. Our final product, we want to make 45 grams of a 2.5% cream, okay? Now that's our final. And with that, to make that, we need hydrocortisone powder and our eucerin cream, which is just going to be our base. That's our base cream. Okay, so it's saying how much of each of these are needed to make 45 grams of a 2.5% cream. Okay, so this is really all the information that we're given. Well, we're given a percentage strength. So remember, anytime you see a percentage strength, we can write that in a fraction form. So 2.5% means that there are 2.5 grams of active ingredient, in this case, hydrocortisone, in every 100 grams of total cream. That's what we know that this final product will have. So it says how much hydrocortisone powder, we're going to focus on that first, should be combined to make 45 grams. So I know that I'm making a total of 45 grams of cream. So if I'm setting this equal to 45 grams, think about what the question is asking. How much hydrocortisone is needed? Well, hydrocortisone, our active, always goes on top. So that is what I do not know. And then I'm trying to prepare a total of 45 grams. So that's how much total cream I need when I'm done. So total cream needs to go on the bottom. So especially when you get to these weight per weight, or even volume per volume, specify what each of these units are. It's always active over total. That way you know where to put your X on this side of the equation. So when I solve for X, that's going to tell me how much hydrocortisone powder I will need. So 45 times 2.5 divided by 100 gives me 1.125 grams. That was my hydrocortisone. Now with my eucerin, remember that is just our base. So if I'm using 1.125 grams of my powder, I'm making a total of 45 grams. We're just going to be subtracting 45 minus 1.125. The difference is how much eucerin we will need. So remember that equation from last time, total minus stock gives you your solvent. So total, we're making 45 grams minus our stock, our active, 1.125, will give me my solvent or my base or my diluent. All means the same thing. 45 minus 1.125 gives me 43.875 grams, and that was my eucerin. So I kind of ran out of room here. I'll write it down here, 48.875 grams. So using the concepts that we've already learned, we can easily prepare a formula here on how to make this cream. So combining these two ingredients together will give you 45 grams of a 2.5% cream. All right, let's move on to number 12. This one says prepare 1 gram of 0.35% menthol and 0.45% phenol in petrolatum. So that's just petroleum jelly or Vaseline, okay? So this time we have two different active ingredients here. The first question says, how many milligrams of menthol are needed? Well, it's just asking about menthol right now. So all I really care about is my menthol. I don't need to worry about the phenol right now. So let's set this problem up just like we did the last one. I know that my percentage strength, I can always write that as X over 100. So there are 0.35 grams of menthol in every 100 grams of, this one is going to be an ointment because petroleum jelly is an ointment. So of ointment, if you didn't know that, you could still just say of your total, right? It's always active over total. And I am needing to prepare 1 gram, and it's asking me how many milligrams of menthol. So remember when it says how many, how much, that is what we're looking for. That's our X. So how many milligrams of menthol? Menthol's on top, so our X has to be on top, are needed to make 1 gram of cream. So we're not making a lot at all. So let's solve here. So we have 0.35 divided by 100. That gives me 0.0035. Remember, this is in grams, but my question is asking for milligrams. So I need to convert this into milligrams here. So what I can do is move my decimal 3 places to the right. So that would give me 3.5 milligrams of menthol. So that's what we need for our menthol. Now we need to solve for our phenol. So in this case, we're going to only be worrying about the phenol here. So don't worry about the menthol when you're solving for that. So based on this example here, go ahead and solve for how much phenol would be needed. And then on C, how many grams of petrolatum are needed? Well, this is our solvent or our diluent or our base, okay? So remember, to solve for this, we always take our total minus stock to equal our solvent, okay? So the total that we're making here is the 1 gram. And then we're going to have to subtract out this answer and what we get here because we have two active ingredients in this case. So subtract out both of those. Now keep in mind this is in grams. So if you wanted to, we could change that into milligrams. So you're going to take 1,000 milligrams minus what you get here. So minus the 3.5 minus what you get for this answer. And then that final answer will be how much petrolatum is needed. It is asking for grams. Okay, so if you solve for this and you get milligrams, you'll have to convert that back into grams once you are done. All right, number 13. A physician orders 250 grams of 3% hydrocortisone cream. The stock medication on hand is 12% hydrocortisone cream. How many grams of the stock hydrocortisone cream is needed? All right, so this one is a little bit different because we don't just have a pure powder of hydrocortisone. So it's different than number 11, okay? This time we have a stock strength on hand and we have an ordered quantity and strength or concentration as well. So if you're not yet noticing, this is an example of the simple dilution method that we went over at the beginning of this chapter, okay? So remember, we always have our quantity desired and our desired concentration. This time we have our stock concentration. So it says how many grams of stock is needed. So that's going to be our Q1. So remember, Q1 times C1 equals Q2 times C2. We say that this side is the stock. So we're looking for grams of stock. We don't know our Q1 here. C1, our stock concentration is 12%. And we're setting that equal to what is being desired. So the 250 grams of a 3% solution, or sorry, 3% cream. So 250 grams, remember that's our quantity, times our concentration of 3%. And based on the simple dilution lecture, you should be able to solve for Q1 here. So that's going to tell you how much hydrocortisone cream you need. Now B, how many grams of base cream are needed? Well, remember, total minus your stock will give you your solvent or your base cream here. So the skills that you've learned so far, you should be able to solve for both A and B on number 13. Once you are done with that, this would be a great time to work on practice problem C in your book, just to make sure that you're clear on these concepts now before you move on to the next section of the lecture.